Cam Newton, who, as he was reminded over the weekend by a kid at a football camp that he was either producing or participating in, you're a free agent. You're a free agent. You're a free agent. He's a free agent. He could go to Seattle. And you know what? He's done well against the Seahawks in the past. He could stay with New England. He can go anywhere. He did a podcast recently. I think it's the I Am Athlete podcast. Said a lot of things that we've posted plenty of different stories about. We appreciate the content during a slow time. He says there aren't 32 quarterbacks in the NFL better than him, and he's right. He's absolutely right. That's indisputable. The question is, who out there is going to say Cam Newton is going to be our starter for 2021 and beyond? That's the question. Who's ready to pull that trigger, Charean?
And somebody is, Mike. Somebody who doesn't end up with one of these lottery tickets as a franchise quarterback is going to pull that string. And I just went through real quick in my head. I had him somewhere around maybe 22nd. You know, I do think there are some backups in the NFL. I think at this point we would consider Minshew and Dalton and Fitzpatrick as backups. I know Fitzpatrick probably goes and gets a starting job this year, but we would consider them backups, I think. And those three, I would say, are probably better than Cam Newton. Is Trubisky better than Cam Newton? I don't know. You start getting those kind of things. But, you know, they do, in the stats, they do rankings of attempts, completions, touchdowns, yards, all those things. And across the board, he ranked from anywhere from 18th to 34th. Of course, touchdowns was 34th, below some starting quarterbacks in the NFL. And so I put him somewhere in that range, but somebody's going to end up with him. And we know that passing wasn't his entire game, Mike. He was probably better as a runner this year, 592 yards and 12 touchdowns. Heck, he even caught a touchdown pass. So I agree. I think he's going to end up somewhere. I think he's going to end up starting somewhere, whether that's a return to New England or somewhere else, Mike.
He admitted in this podcast that having COVID-19 affected him. I remember when he was asked by reporters after coming back from COVID-19 whether or not he had brain fog. He denied it, but I think the Patriots at some level believed that something was different, and we still don't fully understand how that disease works. We don't understand what kind of impact it has. He started the season well and then had that surprise COVID-19 diagnosis and never really did seem to be completely the same. First year in New England, complicated new offense, not a lot of time to get ready for it, and I think there is potential there for him to be a very productive starter in the right offense with the right team, whether that's back to New England. And it's already been reported as a given that he's not going to go back to New England. He sure sounds like he's willing to go back to New England, and that may be the best opportunity for both sides. But I think there's still plenty of gas in the tank. He was drafted less than 10 years ago. It was April 2011 when he entered the NFL as the first overall pick in the draft. And I really do think that he is better than some of the guys we've been talking about as starters for 2021. He made $3.7 million last year with the New England Patriots. That's good money if you can get it wherever you get it, but for starting quarterback purposes, it's not very good money, and it shows that the Patriots got a hell of a value, and it may be that part of what Cam Newton is trying to do this year, Charean, is make back some of the money that he thinks he should have earned in 2020.
Yeah, and he may not see that, Mike. And that may be the value of signing Cam Newton, frankly, is you can get him for less than you would get another starting quarterback. If you don't end up having a high draft pick and getting a quarterback, if you don't end up with Russell Wilson or Deshaun Watson or whatever move you try to make, Cam Newton may be the best option for you because he's not going to cost or shouldn't cost a ton of money to sign, just like he didn't for New England. You put a lot of incentives in there and let him come show you. And, you know, we've talked a lot, even in Brady's final few years, about the weapons that the Patriots had around Tom Brady. And the weapons that they had around Cam Newton were not that great. Maybe he goes somewhere else, and maybe he's a better passer in those places. And I do think COVID played a part in the season he had. I also think, Mike, that not having a full offseason played a part in the season he had. You know, he didn't sign until July. And even if he had signed before that, they didn't have the on-field work that they normally would have had and probably won't have it again this year. I get that. But I do think that played a part in the season that he had.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. And one of the ideas that I have for tomorrow's PFT Live, when we have more time to let this breathe, basically go through all 32 teams. Would you rather have your current starter or Cam Newton? For some of them, it's going to be obvious. You're going to want Patrick Mahomes. You're going to want Lamar Jackson. You're going to want Josh Allen. But then at some point, you're going to start saying, I really got to think this through a little bit. Maybe I would rather have Cam Newton. Frankly, one of the first teams that came to mind for me is the Detroit Lions and Jared Goff. All due respect, I think I'd rather have Cam Newton at this point than Jared Goff.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.